Ho, 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 ho. Ha, ha. That's my evil laugh.
There's another one.
There you go. Yeah, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Great. Did you see how I messed up that intro by clicking it twice?
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, your camera was freezing for a second.
Oh, here we go again.
Here
You
we
know
go.
what? I actually don't. I'm not using a battery anymore for my camera. You remember the last time I had to change it out during the live stream? I bought an adapter, so it's actually plugged into the wall. We shouldn't have any issues like that anymore, dude. So we're good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, Mr. Cody Leach, how are you doing, sir?
I'm not doing too bad. It's been a very hectic week or so. My mother-in-law and family all have COVID, and so my youngest typically goes to her house. And so it's been me and my wife having to, well, I typically stay home anyway, but my wife's been working from home. So we're trying to do our daily life and do our work with our 5-year-old in attendance, which is insanity. So other than that, everything's good.
Hold up, Cody. I don't think we're live. I clicked live. Are we live?
Uh-oh.
Are we live? It says go live up top.
It was, it was live.
Yeah, right?
What the fuck? Okay, let me click on YouTube.
Yeah,
Let
just
me go
double check
see.
before we go. I see some people saying, hey, what's up in the chat. I don't know if they can see us or not, but what the hell?
Yeah, we're live.
We're live. Okay, good. It's weird. It says go live up
It
top.
should, it should say live up in the corner. So it must be something going on with StreamYard.
Yeah, it says
But
go
we're
live. All right, we're live. Okay, we're good live. Everybody. This is what happens on live television, as they say, and this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Me, not Cody, but me. But sorry to hear about everybody having COVID. I didn't mean to interrupt you, man, but go ahead and finish the story.
No, that's pretty much it. Just trying to do YouTube work. My wife trying to work, who also does her work from the computer, while our 5-year-old's running around trying to squeeze every ounce of attention out of both of us all day long has just been rough.
Dude,
it's like having a loose lion in the house and trying to figure out how to continue on.
Oh man, but well, again, I hope everybody recovers well. Like, luckily, Eric, you know my friend Eric, who's on my podcast, the Gen X podcast, he got COVID last week, so he's recovering. But this is the second time he's gotten it. But he does work at an ER hospital. You know, when you go to the hospital, the person takes your
ground zero.
He's like ground zero for all that, but he's doing good. He didn't have a lot of bad symptoms, but luckily, I haven't gotten it yet. As a matter of fact, you know what? I think I did have it before March of 2020 when things kind of went to hell. I was really sick that February. I was like coughing, and I had this cough I couldn't get rid of. But after about 7 days, it kind of went away on its own. But I think I may have gotten it because that's the worst I felt in a long time.
Yeah, I had it back in September, but it was the most mild version of it. I mean, we're all getting hit differently by it. Some people swear it's the worst shit ever. Other people are like, that was it. So
Yeah.
I was kind of on the that was it side of things. I was sick for about a day and a half, and then I was like, oh, I've had colds that are worse than this, but okay.
Well, again, sir, thank you for joining me again on our third trifecta of horror. If I had a horror drop, I'd drop it right now. Yeah, well, welcome back, sir. And again, everybody, thanks for joining in the chat. I see somebody already gave me $1.99. Thank you for the super sticker. I don't know how that works, but thank you so much.
That most recent comment is that's a fake account, by the way. If you want to do anything about that, that's not the real account.
Oh, okay. The one that gave me the $1.99?
No. The Drum Dums one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You're about to get about 95 messages from this account if you don't block it.
Okay, I'll block it right now. Where does it go? All right, where did it go? Where's his Drum Dums account? Let's see. Which one is it? I see. What's up, Trains and Studios? Madison the Reviewer, Colin, Liam, Daniel, Movie Massacre. Oh shit!
Is it not showing up on your?
Yeah. All right, there you go. Blocked. That's pretty specific for a spam. Like, what the hell, man? That's kind of crazy.
That's directed at me.
Oh, okay. Hey, this is my live, goddammit. You guys back off. Just kidding. Well, again, as I mentioned, this is our third live together, and I just want to recap on the horror movies that we've selected. And again, this is not everybody who's new to this. This is not necessarily our, the most scariest movie of all time to the worst. This is just our picks. And for our first video, just to kind of get everybody caught up, this is what we have. We have 28 Days Later, Your Silence of the Lambs. That was a good pick. And again, these are backwards, by the way. When we were announcing them, it started off at 28 days later, and the rankings are off, so that's on me. I like how we did come back to the thing at the end. That was pretty cool.
It
For the
was.
first,
It was, and we did not discuss that beforehand either, so that was kind of a surprise.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. For the second video, here we are. We had a few. Did you ever see Tourist Trap?
I did not. I did not.
You gotta check that out, dude. I did see Misery based on your recommendation. Again, I hadn't seen it in a long time, and it was really good revisiting that. And Phantasm, again, I did see Phantasm 1 and 2, and it was great. 1 was very different. I remember watching part 1, and I was like, I remember what you were telling me about it. It felt like a dream kind of state movie. I didn't know what was going on, and then when everything wraps up at the end, I was like, oh, he was right. It made sense. I did like it. I did see 3, and then I turned it off halfway through part 3 because I was done.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Well, as before, sir, these are our top horror movies. Now we're in our, I guess, 31 through 40. So again, I don't have overlays for you, sir. So you're my guest. So as before, you go ahead and start you with your 10th pick, and we'll go from there.
All right. So my 10th pick for round 3. It's kind of funny that it doesn't show up until my third one. People are going to love this one. John Carpenter's Halloween, the original one from 1978. Yeah. This is a movie that, I mean, it's one of those movies. It's like, what else do you say about this fucking thing? It's been talked about to death. It was one of the movies that kicked off the slasher craze for the 80s. It was, it's a movie that created one of, if not, especially by today's standards, since the other two are just fucking around, not doing anything, the most popular slasher killer of all time in Michael Myers. And it's a movie that I think our buddy Sean says it the best when he says it's excellence through simplicity. It's a movie that's very simple in its concept. It's simple in its execution, but it's executed perfectly by the great John Carpenter. Just taking a concept of a guy that breaks out of a mental ward and terrorizes babysitters on Halloween night. Just a very basic concept, but it's done very well. And what I love this original movie for the most is that I like the approach to the character of Michael Myers the most in this one, to where he's human, but he has this supernatural edge to him, to where he kind of disappears and moves with the wind. He kind of has this force of nature aspect to him that the sequels, for the most part, screw up pretty badly, to where they either definitively make him a human or he's like a zombie at some point in some of these things, where you could chop his head off and he still comes back, quite literally. And then it's a classic. It's an absolute classic. It used to be a little higher for me. The Halloween fandom, admittedly, has kind of, tarnished the taste of this franchise for me a couple of times. But it's still, even with it getting knocked down a couple of spots just for being a little overrated for me personally, it's still in my top 30 horror films of all time. So John Carpenter's Halloween.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And again, like you said, what else can you not say about this film that everybody's already done an essay on, or mimic or attributed to with their filmmaking?
I have nothing to add to the conversation.
Yeah, like, what else can be said that hasn't been said? Oh, the score. Oh, yeah, of course the score's amazing. But yeah, that's a good pick, dude. Halloween is not on my list. I have yet to mention Halloween. All right. So here
everybody
is
direct the hate this way.
Bring it on. I got how much hate I had last week. That's an entirely different topic.
Oh God, yeah. I dipped my toe into that world and I was like, fuck this. Sharks everywhere.
Jeez, man, it was horrible. All right, for my number 10, this came out in 2002, and it was a unique experience for me. And it was a unique experience for me because it really did shock me. It was something I hadn't seen yet. That is The Ring. In 2002, this film, again, I know it was a remake from I think Ring You was the original film, I believe, but this one really did shock me in a sense because I did not expect that last part, and spoilers here, but for her to come out of the TV the way she did. And I remember that sequence being terrifying because again, I don't think I'd ever seen that before. And some of the imagery, you put on the tape, and that urban legend type of feel, like there's a tape out there, if you play it, you die in 7 days. But then the imagery within those cut scenes, it kind of reminded me of a Trent Reznor 9 Inch Nails, video with all this, weird things kind of glitching together. But I really did appreciate the shock value and just the horror that I actually felt in the theater watching the film because again, this is like the 90s had already just wrapped up. This is the early 2000s and what's the 2000s going to bring us? We have the Matrix, but we haven't had a good horror film yet and I think this is before the Chainsaw Massacre remakes and such. So this was a
Mhm.
good, punch in the gut when it comes to horror to start the new millennium.
Yeah, I was in, I wanna say 7th grade when that came. Yeah, I was in 7th grade when that movie came out, and,
You make me
it
feel so old sometimes, you know that? I was married.
that's all I have to
Yes.
say about it. I was in 7th grade when it came out. We can move on. No, it was a movie that the hype and all of my peers, if you wanna call them that, kinda ruined for me. It
Mhm.
it had a very similar reaction to this that I did to Scream in 1996. I don't know if you've heard me tell this story before.
I haven't.
My subscribers certainly have ad nauseum.
Well, tell me.
So, when Scream came out, I was somebody that was introduced to horror very young. I wanna say I was, like, 4 years old, and, some people would cringe hearing that, but, I was always a pretty mature kid,
Yeah.
growing up. I always knew it was a movie. I was never scared, ever. And so I always grew up with horror, but it was always like this forbidden side of the world that I had a taste of that all the other kids in school never knew anything about. Don't tell anybody that you watch Chucky. Don't tell your teachers. And so it always felt like this cool little secret that I had. And then 1996 comes along and Scream comes along, and everybody in my class is running around in ghost face costume. Horror is awesome. I'm a horror fan. And I was like, fuck you. You don't know shit about horror. And so I was like this 6-year-old gatekeeper. And so it took me a long time to really warm up to Scream for that reason. And I kind of had the
Mhm.
same reaction to The Ring,
Mhm.
because The Ring came out and everybody in my class, it's the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life. Oh my God, this thing, I was so scared.
Yeah.
That added in with the fact that Blabbermouths ruined the whole come out of the TV thing.
Oh, that
And so,
sucks.
yeah, so I never got to have that experience. So whenever I saw the movie with that expectation, I'm like, oh, okay, scariest movie ever. And then I watched it and I was like, fucking basic bitch ass fucking peers. I'm the scariest movie ever. And so it's a good story. And it certainly kind of kicked off the bit more craze with the Japanese horror and Japanese horror
Mhm.
remakes for America. And I need to watch it again as an adult, to be honest with you. It's one of those I'm overdue to kind of give it some fresh
Revisit
perspective.
it.
But yeah, exactly. But when it came out, I remember I watched it and just my expectations and the hype kind of ruined my experience because I was expecting it to like blow the doors off, and it was just a good horror movie for me. So
It was. And David Gill says, I was a freshman in high school when it came out. Again, David, thank you for making me feel old. I appreciate that. Nicole here says, The Ring traumatized me when I was a kid. I couldn't sleep at night because I was convinced she was coming for me after watching it. Ooh, 7 days. Yeah, so
yeah.
it had that urban legend feel to it as well that everybody can take home and talk about
Hmm.
it. What better way to get a movie or story out in there as than word of mouth. So
Yeah.
that's my pick, number 10. So
All right.
number 9.
Actually, let me grab something for my number 9. Come here, you little bastard. Ah, ah, should have prepared. My number 9. Child's Play 3.
Three.
This
That's
is
awesome.
one of no less than 3 Chucky dolls that I own and have in this room.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Child's Play 3 was actually the first horror movie that I ever saw. This is the reason why I am the person that I am today and
That
have
guy
this
there.
channel and have the horror love that I have. So I remember coming home. This is when I was like 4, whatever it was. Yeah, you got another spammer. And I came home
Uh-huh.
and my dad in our apartment was watching Child's Play 3, and I just remember walking in and seeing the TV in the opening to where the opening credits where the plastic swirls with the blood, and then Child's Play 3 comes on. And it
Mhm.
just even just that image, I was like, "What's this?" I remember sitting down and watching the movie, and from then on, it was like I couldn't get enough. It was like, "What is this world that I was just introduced? You got more? There's more of these? Child's Play 2, Child's Play 1. Then I got introduced to Freddy. Oh my God. Like that was like even more of a craze for me. I was like, oh, there's like 6 of these fuckers already. I got any of my horror movies that my dad had either recorded or bought on VHS was just suddenly in constant rotation for me. I mean, I was 4 years old and I would throw a goddamn fit if I could not watch a Freddy movie before bed.
Wow.
Yeah,
And you
I
never had
mean,
nightmares, huh? After you saw it, you never had.
no, never had nightmare. I was never scared by it. Like, legitimately, the only movie as a kid that ever fucked with me and gave me nightmares was Stephen King's It and Tim Curry's Pennywise. I literally remember having a dream where Tim Curry's Pennywise was following me around Food Town, which was like a grocery store up in Ohio.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
crazy.
yeah, and so we have Child's Play 3 is a sequel that unfortunately a lot of people don't like too much. Even Chucky fans, they tend to put it at the bottom or near the bottom. I've never quite understood why. Like, I understand at this point that the concept maybe gets a little redundant. There might be a little bit of retreading the same storyline at this point, but for me, especially being just a year later, Child's Play 3 does pretty much all the same things that Child's Play 2 does so well, but Child's Play 2 just got there first.
Yeah.
I think this has some of the best one-liners. I think Chucky's on top as far as his character and how funny he is in this movie. I
Uh,
like the older Andy. And so there's a lot of aspects to this movie that even still to this day, despite the fact that I just have a large place in my heart for it, I just find it a very underrated slasher sequel.
yeah.
And so it's always going to be one of my favorites. And yes, I do have it one slot above John Carpenter's Halloween. I'm just going to go ahead and notate that again. Eventually, I'm going to get that as a tattoo. Child's Play 3 is better than
Do
Halloween.
it. Do it. So is Child's Play 3 is when Andy goes to the military school?
Yes.
That's the one I remember seeing in the theater. I saw Child's Play 1 and 2 at home on VHS, but this is the first one I saw at the theater, and I like the whole, like I said, the factory scene at the end where it's more or less like a remake of the Terminator, where they're just going through the factory and just obliterating him, through all these areas. So I do like that one. So I have to ask, so when you get mad, do you curse like Chucky? You fucking bitch, you stupid slut. Do you curse like I have to know.
Under my breath with the door locked. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see here. Someone says, well, I don't want to say that. Somebody thinks you're cute. So in the chat, that's nice. Nicole again, she says
Probably
yes.
another spam account. It's probably the same guy coming
Oh
back with different names.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, let me go ahead and
Actually, if you want to, Rudy, here,
what's
I just typed one. You can assign me as a moderator and I can help with the chat as well. Just click the
okay.
3 dots next to my name and it should say add moderator. And then that gives me the ability to silence or block comments.
Yeah, please. Let me see. I get, let's see. Edit name, edit mic settings, kick audio, ban from studio. Let's see. Do you have to make a comment? Then under the comments.
Oh, no. It's under YouTube on the YouTube page. I'm sorry. If you
Okay.
open up YouTube, yeah, if you open up YouTube and go to the live chat, I just typed hey. And yeah. Sorry about this, by the way. I didn't think that this person would be following us
Don't worry
but
about it. It's all good fun, dude. We're not like live in front of millions or anything like that. It's no big deal. I
yeah,
appreciate
exactly.
it. Very fun. Very fun.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's
But
see.
yeah, so Child's Play 3 is always one of those sequels where I feel like a constant defender of it. For as much as I love it, I try to not have nostalgia goggles or rose-colored, tinted glasses or anything with it. But I genuinely do think it's a great Child's Play movie, and I don't quite understand a lot of the criticism hailed at it, where people say it's just kind of tired at that point. And I'm like, well, shit, how many fucking Halloween movies have you guys loved that are the same concept over and over? How many Nightmare on Elm Street movies are the same? Why does Chucky get shit for it at 3?
I need, you know what? I need to revisit all of them. The girlfriend and I were talking. I already added you as a moderator, so you should be able to go in there and do your stuff. But yeah, we've been wanting to watch like a new film series again, and I've only seen, honestly, Child's Play 1 to 4. No, 1, 2, and 3. That's it. I've never seen the others. I've never seen Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, nothing. So that's,
Wow.
and plus he's charismatic and he's funny as hell. Just like Freddy Krueger. They got character.
It's a wild franchise after 3. I'll say that. Like, I love Bride of Chucky, but after that, Don Mancini takes over. He's the guy who's written all the movies, and the tone and the approach is just like a fucking roller coaster from there on. It's just like ultra weird comedy to dark classic horror to mix of all. It's all over the place.
Nice. All right. Cool. Or let's see here. Let's go to Let me go to mine. We're at number 9 here. So my number 9 is it is Wolf Creek. Now, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but this one is your typical, people getting stranded in the middle of nowhere. They have, nowhere to help them, and somebody comes and helps them. And it's an Australian-based film, and it's your typical thing. Like you think it's like the Wrong Turn or The Hills Have Eyes
Texas
sort of thing.
Chainsaw, yeah.
Yeah, you've seen this, right? I don't want to spoil it.
I've seen like 85% of it. I started watching it with my parents and they got a little bit tiresome because it takes a long time to really get to the meat of the story. And so we ended up
Yes.
turning it off. And then I saw like the last half of the movie on Cinemax or some shit like maybe 3-4 years later. So I've seen all of the carnage filled part of the story. The rest of it I don't remember at all.
Yeah, and I thought it was gonna be your average slasher where this guy's really just gonna kidnap them and just do whatever,
Mhm.
but I didn't realize how gruesome it was gonna be, with the kills and just what he's doing with the torture. And then, you see all these other videos, like when they're scavenging through all these materials. There's like videos of people with kids. But the
Mhm.
one scene that really shook me up, and I think you know where I'm going with this, is when you think this one person is, the female protagonist who's going to get away and, survive. He kills her in the most brutal way. Well, not that one. He kills her in the most brutal way where he goes, "You ever heard of a head on a stick?" And he gets the knife and he stabs her in the spine
Oh yeah.
and he twists the knife and she just falls down where she can still hear and see and I believe feel everything, but she can't move. And
Mhm.
he goes, "There you go. You got a head on a stick. Now you can't go anywhere." And it's like, oh God, it's less is more
Yeah.
like Sean said. But the fact that he just killed this one person, not really killed him, just tortured him and just left him paralyzed, really messed me up. And I just this charismatic, fun guy. I mean, you think he's gonna like Crocodile Dundee in a sense, but he's a killer, man. It just really just shook me up. So that's my number 9.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Wolf Creek. Are we still any more spammers in there?
Not at the moment. I think we're clear for the moment. Number 8 for me,
Mm.
and now you have to specify since we're in this craze where sequels and remakes just take the same fucking name. You have Black Christmas, the original.
Oh,
Now, I don't know if you've ever seen the original Black Christmas, but I think not to keep shitting on Halloween, by the way. I am a fan of this movie, but a lot of the credit that Halloween tends to get, Black Christmas actually deserves. Black Christmas predates Halloween by a few years, and a lot of the things that it does well is what Halloween does well. And in a lot of ways, if Black Christmas had got the attention that it deserved, I think that would be the movie that we would all say kicked off the slasher craze of the 80s.
hmm.
And it's genuinely one of the creepiest movies that I've ever seen. It's you got this sorority house in the middle of Christmas or the middle of the winter, and there's a maniac hiding in the attic, and he keeps calling the girls, kind of like when a stranger calls,
Mhm,
and mentally is like fucking with them the entire movie. And one by one, they start disappearing. And again, it's excellence through simplicity. It's a very simple movie, very simple concept, and the voice and the sound design regarding these phone calls will chill you to your bone unless you are just numb to the world. I mean, just the voices and the things that he's saying. I mean, it is so insane
mhm,
and so chilling that the movie just sets you in this really creepy, eerie tone all the way up to the third act where you never even really see the killer, but when you see the most of him that you're ever going to see in this movie, and it's just it's bone chilling. It's a movie that
mhm.
for classic slasher that predates all of the 80s slashers, it's a shame that even years later, where we've now had 2 remakes of this film, that it
Mhm.
still doesn't quite get the credit that I think that it deserves. So to me, it was a movie that I was introduced to way too late in life, and I'll always sing its praises. If you want a good, or excuse me, a great
Mhm.
holiday horror film, there's very few, if not any, that are better than Black Christmas, in my opinion.
That's a good pick. And you know what?
Hmm.
I just saw it 3 months ago,
Hmm.
with a girlfriend, and, my favorite line, I'm gonna curse real quick, but my favorite line in the entire movie is
Hmm.
Margot Kidder on the phone with her mom. It says, "Oh, mom, you're such a gold-plated whore." I'm like, "What? I've never heard of that ever. That's the weirdest, like, insult I've ever heard in my life." Like, Margot Kidder just called her mom a gold-plated whore. It makes no sense, but a good
Yep.
film. A good
Yeah.
film, and I like it was totally different. Like I said, it predates the slasher, like you said, like Halloween, but I did like how atmospheric it was, and that every time anybody stepped into that house, the sorority house, it just felt like I had a fear, like a Resident Evil type of fear, where you don't know what's behind the corner or what's going to happen. I just like the whole set design and that whole uh, feeling it creates. So yeah, that's a solid pick, dude. Solid
Very
pick.
much.
See Nicole here, those phone calls, yeah, they are nightmare fuel, definitely.
Hmm.
And let's see here. Back to we're at number 8 here. This one, I may get some crap for this one, but it made me cry, but it
Here we go.
terrified me a little bit. So here we go. My number 8 is The Orphanage that came out in
Never seen
2000.
it. Can't hit you.
Okay, perfect. This film is it's a foreign film, so I think it's made in Spain, so it's all in Spanish, but it's about a woman
Is this
who
the one
was
where the kid's got like the sack over his face or something?
yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
know the picture. I got the picture in my head. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a movie about a woman who was an orphan and who was brought up in this big mansion with all these other orphanages. What's a plural for that? Orphans. Sorry. Anyway, she grows up and she's married and she's got a son, and her and her husband buy the orphanage because it's closed down. She wants to reopen it for other kids with disabilities. So she's
Mhm.
building it, and in the midst of all this, her son disappears, and that's where the story starts.
Okay.
And as a parent, it's like you're really just invested in this film, trying to find out where her son's at. And there's a huge twist at the end that I never, I like to claim myself that I can pick things out and solve what's going to happen in the film before it ends. And I was totally just 180'd with this ending. And it was terrifying, but I was also crying. And it had such a poignant ending where it was beautiful. It was tragic, but beautiful at the same time. It had a Peter Pan-esque, that's all I'm going to say, type of
Hmm.
ending. But as a parent, you understand the choices this woman makes. And it's like, that is so heartbreaking and beautiful and terrifying at the same time. So for those who want an international foreign film, that I do appreciate foreign films when their take with horror, because
Hmm.
Americanized films tend to have a certain type of style, and I like a different type of take and perspective.
Oh yeah.
So I highly, highly recommend The Orphanage. It's a beautiful film. This same director went ahead and directed, I think, Jurassic World, the last one, that last one that just came out where they're auctioning off dinosaurs.
Not a selling point for me.
No,
Fallen
but
Kingdom.
yeah, but I remember watching it, and there's a lighthouse in the back of the ground of that mansion in Jurassic Domination, whatever the hell it's called. The mansion looked like the mansion in the movie, and so did
Okay.
the wallpaper. I'm like, well, did he just take the set from the orphanage and put it in Jurassic World? I don't know.
Pinching pennies, baby. I know how to make this
Yeah,
thing work.
yeah. So, yeah, Colin, I love the orphanage so much. It's my kind of horror. Again, it's not your traditional horror movie, so don't go in
Mhm.
walking in thinking it's going to be like Black Christmas or anything. It's beautifully written and it's poignant, and it'll probably get people in tears. So I highly recommend The Orphanage.
It's nice when you get a movie that can actually surprise you with its ending, isn't it? Because I'm the same way where I've seen so many movies that I feel like I see things coming so much and I hate myself for it. And
Yeah.
and it always feels like it takes a certain amount of it takes a certain amount of your experience away. Like I just
Yes,
saw, and I'm not going to spoil anything, guys, but I just saw the most recent Scream film, and it's the only Scream movie where I pegged the killer like 10 minutes in.
I
And
did
I'm
too.
curious how, yeah, it seems a lot of people did. So, and I never know that either. When I do my review, I'm like, fuck, am I the only person that found this out? And I'm going to look like a pretentious dick, or am I going to say it and everybody's like, yep, me too. So, but it's always, it takes away a bit of the experience whenever you're so smart or so experienced, I guess,
Yeah.
if you will, as a movie fan, that you see the writing on the wall and you're like, I bet this is going to happen. And then an hour later, you're like, fuck me, I'm right.
Damn it, I knew it. Hate it when I'm right.
Yep.
Yes, I do have a Twitch, Aiden. I do have a Twitch account. I'm actually broadcasting on Twitch for the first time ever. So I just opened it. So more lives to come on the Twitch side. There you go. So yeah, so
Very
you got to
nice.
check it out, dude. So now we're at number 7. So what is your number 7, sir?
Number 7 for me is David Cronenberg's The Fly, one of the
Yes.
best remakes ever, and my favorite of the Cronenberg films. I will say that.
Mhm.
It's a movie that it does what I think more remakes should do. Remakes in general tend to get a lot of hate, tend to get a lot of pessimism, tend to get a lot of poor reaction from fans just upon announcement. I mean, if they just announce they're doing a remake to a movie, everybody shits all over it like it's a guaranteed loss. And this is one of those movies that takes the approach that I appreciate, where if you're going to remake something, especially if it's a beloved property, which I don't know if I would necessarily call the original Fly
Yeah.
beloved or not,
Mhm.
but regardless, if you're going to remake something, then you better take it in a new direction. You better do something genuinely different or new or modern with it. And it seems like too many remakes take the path of, well, let's just do exactly what the other one did, but it's going to look better
Mhm.
because it's 20 years younger. And immediately when you do that, you just immediately open yourself up to all the comparisons to the original, to which you're never going to win that. And
Yeah.
so this movie takes the concept of the Fly, a scientist that's creating this teleporting machine, and accidentally bonds his DNA with a housefly. and
Yep.
it takes it in such a different direction with just straight up body horror.
Hmm.
And it's just, that's something that Cronenberg was always famous for, was body horror. That was kind of his genre. You can't talk about him without talking about body horror. You can't talk about body horror without talking about Cronenberg. And this movie is at its best, to where the performance of Jeff Goldblum is amazing. Like all the little ticks and shit that he does throughout the movie, and the deterioration of his skin and his teeth, and
It's
all the way up to the
awesome.
third act where he turns into a full-on monster. I mean, it's a love story. As
It
gross
is.
as it is, as nasty as it is, it's a love story at the end of the day. So I just think it's a brilliant horror movie. I think it really does highlight the double-edged spectrum of the beauty of horror.
Hmm. Well said, man. It
Mhm.
is, and that was actually on our first video. I had mentioned The Fly, and I
Mhm.
had did a really in-depth video of The Fly, and saw it again for the first time. And like again, I see these movies. I hadn't seen them in like 20 years, and the
Mhm.
practical effects. I love how they hold up,
Yes,
and it just
yes.
makes you cringe.
I don't understand why Hollywood just strays away from that nowadays. Like, I understand it's probably cheaper to do computer generated effects, but
Right?
man, they age like milk.
Yeah, it's perfect. And that whole scene where he's in the restroom taking out his nails from his
Mhm,
hand, it's like, "Ugh," it's gross, but it's
mhm,
done so well, and the performances. And like I said, I've said this before in many other videos that Gina Davis, that is the perfect example of like true love. I mean, if
mhm.
she's sticking around to the end and he's falling apart, he's like, "You gotta go." It's like, "No, I'm not gonna leave you." I'm like, "God damn, if that were me, I would have left long time ago, man."
Yeah, you gotta
Like,
go.
I'm
"Okay, bye."
sorry. You need your space. I need my space. I gotta take off. I'm sorry. You got this.
Bro, you eat through vomit. I can only take so much.
Oh man, that's awesome. So good pick, man. That's a solid
Yeah.
pick. Let's see here. What do you? Yes, The Fly. We have computers are dumb. I only do what they tell you to do. Okay. So we got some Fly quotes there. All right. So my next one is a recent film I just saw, and it really scared the living shit out of me because of the twist. And that is Saint Maud that just
Hmm,
came out. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but
I missed that one.
it's an A24 film,
Oh.
and it's about I love A24 films, by the way. And
Mhm,
it's about a woman who is she's a schizophrenic, but she's a caretaker, a nurse, and she's very religious.
okay.
And she's taking care of this one person who is definitely not a Christian or not religious. She's kind of living her life and doing her own thing, and she kind of sees it that she's living in sin, and she's trying to save her. Throughout this type of exchange, she goes out to the world. She's hallucinating. She sees things that kind of perpetuate and enable her religious prayers. So
Hmm,
she says certain prayers, but her hallucinations back her up that she's doing the right thing. And there is a major event that happens toward the end that had me jump out of my bed. Like, what the? I didn't see it coming, and
mhm,
my girlfriend's laughing at me. But it just had it. Oh my god! It just kind of walks that line between delusion and religious beliefs, and you
hmm,
don't know what's gonna if it's real or if it's just in this person's head. And there's a 1 second cutaway at the end of the credits that kind of tells you what happened, but it's so well done. You're just questioning yourself, and you kind of like falling into this rabbit hole. Am I crazy too with it? What's going on? That
mhm.
did make sense. And it's a really great movie. And it's short. It's like 80 minutes long. It's short and simple and well acted. So Saint Maud, I highly recommend. You got to check that out.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that one out. I've had, especially in 2020, I had a hard time with the horror films that were coming out in 2020, because it felt like, we lost movies completely for a while there.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
whenever they started to come back, the first, I would say 3, 4, 5 movies that I watched that were in the horror thriller genre, I was not a fan of, and all of them were getting huge praise. Like, oh my god, what was the
Yeah.
movie that came out with Kevin James where he was a killer? It was fucking terrible. I
Was
had to see
what?
it because Kevin James was a killer. It was like a Home Alone thing. I don't remember what the name is, but everybody was saying that that was awesome. And I was like, man, okay. And I gave it a shot. I hated it. Everybody was praising The Lodge. I watched that, wasn't a big fan. And so Saint Maud came after that, to where I was like, you guys are just so movie deprived that whatever you get, you love. So I'm not listening to you fuckers anymore, because I've already wasted like 7 hours of my life. And
Yeah.
so because you praised it in the way that you phrased it, Becky, thank you, Colin. Becky was not great, but you convinced me that Saint Maud might be worth a shot. So I'll try to give it a shot here soon.
Well, thank you, sir.
Mhm,
I highly recommend it. And again, it's the acting, the performances, and just like again, less is more. I'm a big fan of that, and it's
mhm.
done well, and it's very eerie. So that's my pick. So
All
now
right.
we're at number 6. So what's your number 6?
Number 6 might be the most recent movie on my top 50 horror films. And this is a movie that I had no faith in. I think most people that heard about it and went to see it had little to no faith in it. And this movie had absolutely zero right to be as amazing as it was, and that was Doctor Sleep.
Oh,
For a movie that's trying to follow up The Shining, it's like, are you fucking crazy? What kind of a dick do you think that you have to do something like that? And you went to go see the movie, and the trailers didn't really sell me. I didn't know exactly what the book was about. I was like, is this going to be a sequel to the movie? Is this a sequel to the book? Because you have to distinguish between those because they're very different. And somehow it was all of those. It was a sequel to the movie and it was an adaptation of the book. So it's like it appeased everybody. And
mm-hmm,
the story that you go on, I mean, you think of a sequel to The Shining, and you're like, that's just a stupid idea. Just from the get-go, stop. You're not going to succeed in this.
mm-hmm,
Where you would assume that Hollywood, I know it's based off of a book, but like you would assume that if somebody's making a sequel to The Shining, they're like, okay, so it's going to be about another family that goes to this fucking hotel, and then once somebody's going to
right.
go crazy, let's go through the motions again, and you're not going to be anywhere near as brilliant as the Kubrick film. And this movie takes the character of Danny and expands him and makes it almost like a good versus evil movie, to where these people have the shining powers, and there's a group that's using it for evil and trying to suck all the just a regular person.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Danny teaming up with this girl who's kind of like this um
The
uh
one.
the one basically, yeah, she's got like superpowers with it. And all of that was just so awesome and captivating, and the way that they really expanded the character of Danny and how he's going through all of the
Yes.
shit that his father went through with the alcoholism and all of that. And it almost everything that it does just adds to The Shining. It doesn't take anything away, to the point
Mm-hmm.
where you finally get to the third act and you finally do show up at the Overlook Hotel.
Yeah.
And not only does it wrap up the story in a satisfying way, but it's just pure fan service. I mean, the hallways and everything are damn near perfectly recreated. The
Beautiful.
shot where he's walking down the hallway and then goes into the bar, just like his father did whenever he sat down with Lloyd. All of
Mm-hmm.
that was perfect. Even the way that they kind of recast and changed up Jack Nicholson's role, obviously, it
Mm-hmm.
worked for me, especially the actress they got to play the Shelley Duvall role. That was uncanny.
Yeah.
And
And I'm
yeah,
so glad they didn't go CGI with her. I'm glad that you
thank you.
found an actress that looked like her. I like
Thank
that.
you. And that was the movie too where I was saying the same thing, because we had already had like 4 or 5 movies doing the whole de-aging thing, and they hadn't
Mhm.
quite perfected it yet. And it was just like, dude, this, you look shiny as fuck. Like, what's going on here? And then it proved it's like you can recast characters. Like
Yeah.
give your audience a little bit of credit. It'll take us a second to readjust, and then we're like, okay, so this is Wendy. Okay, so this is Jack.
Mhm.
And yeah, there was little to nothing negative I really had to say about the movie, and the director's cut was even better. It's a movie that literally did the impossible. It followed up The Shining and made The Shining better.
Yeah. Dude, you know what? I have the 3-hour director's cut behind me there, and I love
Mhm,
it. I saw it twice in the theater, and I've seen it 3 times at home.
mhm.
You're right. It had no business being as good as it was. And I love Mike Flanagan. He's
Yes.
one of my favorite directors and writers. Anything he's done, from Oculus to the Netflix Midnight Mass, anything he's touched,
Mhm.
I'm either emotional, crying a little bit, but I love the horror. I love he's one of the few directors. There's Roger Eggers, and a few others who I forget the guy who did Hereditary, but there's a few directors that
Ari
know
Aster.
Ari Aster that know how to do horror right with no jump
Mhm,
scares. And he does it absolutely right, but it also invests a lot of time in the characters. And I love how in Doctor Sleep, with I forgot the names, but those vampire, shining people led by Rose the Hat, they have like a backstory. You're following them, so you feel like you're part of their family, and they're
mhm,
looking for that shine. And I just like the little details they say. No, kids don't have imaginations no more. That's why there's no shine out there. I kind of
mhm.
like those little touches in that. And one of my favorite sequences as far as storyboarding is when Rose the Hat tries to go, I guess, attack the girl, the one in her bedroom, and that whole sequence, the way it's shot, it's done so beautifully, man.
Yeah.
And watching it in the theater, I remember feeling really disturbed with the little leaguer when they're,
Oh,
taking his
yeah.
essence. I'm like, I
That
can't
was
believe I let
brutal.
this out.
Yeah.
That was really tough to watch.
Yeah.
But I'll just close in saying that Rosa Hat can suck whatever she wants from me. I love her to death. I'll be her slave. Do whatever you want to
I
me,
got
baby.
all the shine you need, baby.
It's
All
all
the
right
shine you
here.
need.
I ain't going nowhere. You don't have to tie me up unless you want me to. Oh, she's hot. Okay, I said it, but that's a great pick, dude. Awesome pick.
Yes.
How do I follow that? Oh, you know what? I'll follow that with an Australian mockumentary that came out in 2008,
What
and that
in the
is
world?
Lake Mongo. I don't know
Hmm,
if you've heard about this,
have
but
not.
this film genuinely gave me the creeps, man, because it's a film about a missing daughter. It shows like a documentary team following these parents whose daughter ended up missing. She went to a lake or on a trip with some kids, and she ended up missing.
Mhm.
And the whole story is this investigation of like what happened to her, who she was talking to, and as they unveil clues in her disappearance, it starts to become very creepy. And at the end, again, I don't want to give it away. They find her cell phone and they look through the photos and what she was looking at. And there's this one image before she dies that she takes that freaked me out. And just when you think the film's ending, the end credits reveal a different take on what you just saw. And there's no, the score is very atmospheric and there's no jump scares whatsoever. It's just a creepy fucking movie, dude. And there's images from like security camera surveillance areas, and you're kind of seeing these areas off to the left. It's done so well. It gave me the creeps, and I felt really weird after watching it. But I highly, highly recommend Lake Mongo. Again, you can find
Hmm.
it on Amazon. Again, it's so well done. It gets worse and it gets deeper and deeper, and things are start to unveil the more they dig into this girl's history. So I highly recommend Lake Mongo.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I know I couldn't follow Doctor Sleep, man. You got me all hyped up. So that's my Lake Mongo. Now we're at number 5. So what's your number 5?
All right, let's hype it up even more. So number 5, we have the Evil Dead remake.
Hmm.
This is my favorite of the Evil Dead films. It's one of my favorite remakes, and it's a movie that I would say I hated the first time that I watched it. I've always been a casual at most fan of Evil Dead. Didn't really grow up loving that franchise. I grew up loving Army of Darkness as a kid, but I saw Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 like in the mid 2000s when everybody was talking about like he was going to be the next person to join the Freddy versus Jason thing. Obviously, that never happened, but
Mm-hmm.
I educated myself on the Evil Dead. It was never huge on it, but you know it is what it is. I've grown to like it more as an adult. But this came out. I want to say it was 2004 or something like that, maybe
Uh,
2003. I don't. 2006.
2013.
2013. Wow, okay, I'm way fucked up. 2013. S now I feel old. No, 2013, you had Evil Dead come out, and I went to see it in the theater, and this is again, like, right there, the poster, "The most terrifying film you will ever
Mhm.
experience," and that was what all the reviews were saying, like, "Shocks you to your core," like, all those fucking hyperbole phrases that people love on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so I went to go see it, and it just set my expectations up all wrong because this is not it's got creepy scenes and creepy things
Yeah.
about it, but this is really isn't a movie that's trying to scare you. It's a
Hmm.
movie that's just trying to be, I call it like it's like a mix between slapstick and slasher. I call it like splat stick.
Hmm.
And so I didn't really like it when I saw it in theaters. And then maybe 2, 3, 4 years later, I bought the Blu-ray, watched it again, and I was like, "What fucking mood was I in when I watched it? This is awesome! Like, what the hell?" And what it does so great is it takes the heart of what an Evil Dead film is. You put these people in this cabin and you unleash demons upon them, and they die in very horrible, gory, gruesome ways.
Hmm.
And they put an actual story to it. Not to shit on Evil Dead, but Evil Dead's not really about story. It's about the
No.
goofy stuff.
Yeah.
So this one, they found a really compelling and realistic reason for why they don't leave the fucking cabin. And it's because the subject of why they're there is this drug addict that they're trying to force through detox. And so when she's saying the woods are trying to rape me and the fucking there's demons coming here, they're like, bitch, shut up. You
Yeah.
want to just throw her in the back room and they're hanging out. We're not leaving. Get the fuck out of here.
Uh-huh.
And the gore is so awesome. The intensity of the movie, like when the guy's just getting like stabbed in the freaking face with the syringe and
Needles.
stuff, and
Oh, yeah.
they
Yeah.
turn the chick's cutting her face open and then turns to the side, or even when she's licking the razor. Like there's so many great practical gore effects
Hmm.
leading up to a final act that quite literally is metal as fuck. I mean, I hear Slayer's raining blood every time I watch the end of this movie where the skies open up and literally it rains blood and this
Brain's blood.
demon
Yeah.
comes out of the ground. And you have Mia. The movie does a great job at kind of switching around and making you guess at who the Ash character is going to be.
Yeah.
And when it finally ends up on Mia, who's a great character, and she takes her arm off and then has to shove this chainsaw down the gullet of this fucking demon,
Yeah.
it's a movie that just goes for it. I mean, I don't even want to know what the budget of this movie was, just in regards to the blood. Like
Yeah.
it was probably like a third of their fucking budget was just
Just blood.
bringing truckloads of blood. Come on, the next delivery. And so it's just a movie that stylistically I think is just badass. It's just a
Mhm.
kick-ass movie.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. I actually really liked it when I first saw it.
Mhm,
I walked away seeing for the first time like, wow, it's the same concept, same cabin in the
mhm.
woods sort of thing. I do like to take, where she was a drug addict, like you said, but just I didn't find it scary. I
Oh
find it
yeah,
very shocking.
yeah.
Like it was really tough to watch, especially the practical effects. And I think there's this one sequence where this one girl's like cutting off her face.
Mhm.
It's done really well, and I love that. But I didn't find it scary. But that ending, my God, man, it reminded me of like the ending of Silent Hill 3. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh Jesus, man, what the hell's going on? This is so fucking cool. I like it. So
Mhm.
I wish more movies were made that way. I can't really think of a recent horror film that actually went all out like that with a
No.
remake concept. So I applaud them, and that's a solid pick, dude. I like that one.
Mhm.
Definitely like that one, man. All right, for my number 5, it is. I think this film, before I announce it, has the scariest, most, I want to say, kind of accurate depiction of the devil. How would I know that?
Mm.
I have no idea. But I'm just saying, I just felt it's very accurate, and that's The Wailing. It came out in 2016.
Hmm.
It's a foreign film. It's a little bit long. It's a slow. It's maybe 40 minutes longer than what it should be. But it's about a cop who is investigating a murder, and as he's going and trying to solve it, he finds out that he was cursed
Mhm.
by a local witch. And then he has to find another witch to kind of counter that witch with a spell to kind of cancel it out. And then it kind of goes in further, but there's like this reveal of the devil at the end. And
Mhm.
I remember it terrified the fuck out of me because some of the shots are just like a man standing in the woods with red eyes. And that
Mhm.
does it for me. I don't know why. Just eyes alone in horror tend to terrify me. I remember when I was a kid, you said you were 4. I was 6 years old watching the Amityville horror movie with
Mhm.
Margot. And there's this one scene where she's looking out the window and she sees like these eyes in the dark
Mhm.
and hears a pig sound. It freaked me out. It's kind of like the ending of Fright Night, where he
Mhm.
looks across the next door and he hears his buddy
So
laugh.
cool, Brewster.
Yeah, that freaks me out. Just eyes alone. And that, fuck, dude, that really scared me. But The Wailing is really good. It kind of reminds me, like, I'm Hispanic, of course. I'm not like 3 hours away from Mexico. And there's always brujeria, like witches and things like that, that you hear not to mess with because it's true and it's out there. And the fact that this kind of spoke to that, but in the Japanese culture,
Mhm.
it really kind of came home to me like, oh, wow, that's actually like a worldwide thing. So it really spoke to me in that type of fairy tale sense. It's a long movie. It may not be for everybody, but I recommend The Wailing.
Okay. Yeah, I never got a chance to check that one out. I had just started YouTube or the year that came out, and I remember when I was kind of starting to dip into the horror community, had a lot of people recommending that one, but then I saw the runtime and I was like, "Ooh, I got to
Yeah.
carve out a day and a half to watch this," and I just
Yeah.
never made it to it.
I want to get to this commenter here. Nicole says, Late Mongo really scared me. The Pokemon tapes scared me the
OQT
way.
tapes or something? Yeah.
Have you seen that yet?
I haven't. I've heard of it though, just because the
Uh,
name is hard to forget.
yeah, I saw it. I saw it on TikTok. Somebody was saying, "Oh, you got to see this movie. It's so shocking, and it's all like this found footage stuff." And I didn't
Mhm.
find it scary. I mean, it's great. It's a great concept, but some of the scenes are pretty disturbing. But I didn't find it all that scary. But thanks, Nicole, for your comment.
Gotcha.
All right, so now we're down to what? We're down to number 4. So what's your number 4, Mr.
Number
Cody?
4 for me, and this is not the remake. Again, I gotta specify because they share titles nowadays. The Omen.
With directed by Richard Donner.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay,
exactly.
nice, nice. Okay,
I love The Omen. I'm somebody that a lot of my horror love belongs to the 80s. I'm a slasher guy, and a lot of my favorite films, Lost Boys, The Thing, they all belong to the 80s.
okay,
And there's certainly some amazing films in the 70s, but I've just never really connected with 70s horror as much. But this is one of the exceptions that every single time, even from the first time I watched it, I have always loved The Omen. I mean, it's amazing. You were talking about the orphanage earlier, and it's amazing how differently you absorb movies when you're a parent, when it comes to
yes,
parenthood or when it comes to your child or whatever. And the central concept of this movie is absolutely terrifying. And even the fact that he's a adopted kid doesn't even really matter.
yeah,
What if you found out that this child that you have loved every single day since they were born and you have raised and you've had, I mean, every parent, every single day, you look at your kid and you just see the future. You see them growing up and having their own
Right.
family every day. What if one day somebody comes up to you after you have loved this kid every day for years and says, "That's the devil's son. You need to kill him."
Mhm.
And it's like, what the fuck do you do with that? And so the way that the movie explores that by slowly revealing throughout the movie, through the dog showing up, through the nanny sacrificing herself for, like,
This is for
look at
you.
me, Damien, and
Mhm.
the crazy as fuck nanny that comes in and, don't worry, child, I am here to protect thee, like stuff like that. And the whole Omen concept about the pictures, depicting somebody's death and all of that. It's a movie that takes its time, never reveals too much, and just ramps up the tension all the way through to the end. And the way that it just slowly messes with the main character's head
Mhm.
about him, obviously any parent, like, whatever, get the fuck out of here, like, not listening to it at all. And then more things start to happen all the way to the point where his wife gets killed, and brings you to a point where the only way to stop the evil is to kill this kid that you've loved.
Mhm.
And it's a movie that I think is brilliant all the way through. I reviewed the franchise because we did it for 31 on 31 last year, and the second one is okay. And I think that the remake has some decent atmosphere to it, but it's a franchise that never really figured out why the original was so brilliant. It just kind of took it at face value. And when you watch The Omen even today, it still is very effective for me.
I would agree, and that's Richard Donner's very first film that
Hmm.
he directed. That film got him Superman. So I love
Hmm.
I've the Superman background and the whole DVD special features. I've seen them all. So that's how I learned about the Omen. Then I saw the Omen. Like, wow. I love that scene where they're at the zoo and all the chimpanzees attack the car or something like that. I
Hmm.
found out that they had a female chimpanzee or something and put it in the car so all the males could attack the car to
Ah.
to get that scene together. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, that movie's very I love what I love about 70s films, to kind of tie to your point, they're very atmospheric, and
Hmm.
end of the world, end of times, and they end with no hope in a sense. Like
Yeah.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers and this, we're fucked is what's the end of the story. That's it. There's no happy ending. And I wish more movies took that approach.
Hmm.
Like not everything has to end in a happy ending. That's why I kind of love the Wicked in the Dark that just came out. I spoke about that in one of our videos, but that's a
Hmm.
solid pick, dude. That's a really good one. I never saw the remake. Never did.
It's more or less, it's as close to being a shot for shot remake as you can get, which is my least favorite type of remake. I mean, for
Yeah.
everything that I just said earlier about what a remake should do, that's kind of like the opposite. We're literally just going to copy and paste the old movie and do it again. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, what the fuck? Like,
What's the point?
if I've seen the original, what the hell are you going to bring me? Just, oh, it looks a little cleaner. What the fuck?
All right. Well, this next my number four may be the weakest. Not I don't want to say the weakest, but it's not necessarily horror. I think looking back, it's a drama, but there's zombies in it. And this one is Train to Busan.
Oh,
Uh,
it's a horror movie.
it's a good horror movie, but I don't usually leave horror movies crying my eyes out at the end, especially when the
Hmm.
credits start. This film it came out in a time where The Walking Dead was already toward the going on a tailspin, and the whole zombie genre was just over with. I was done with it.
Hmm.
Like, I don't need another zombie movie. Then my niece recommends this, which is you have to see it, Uncle. It's a foreign film. I'm like, oh, whatever, fine. And I started watching it, and it did something. What I love about foreign films that not many American films tend to do is its character focus. And
Hmm.
before you know it, you are so attached to everybody in this train, from the guy who's expecting his first kid. You know where everybody's coming from. You know a little bit about their past and their relationship to their family. And every time somebody dies, you feel like you get an emotional hit. Like, oh my
Hmm.
god, and just the way the movie ends, and I don't want to give it away, but just the way it ends, dude, I was just crying my eyes out as a father. And
Hmm.
just the acting from some of these young children was just mind blowing. I couldn't believe that little girl was giving that performance at the end. She was so convincing.
Yeah.
But this film, again, hard. I love the practical effects. I love the special effects. I love all that. But the emotional tie and tether that I had to everybody involved is something I wish I had more of when I watch horror films. And that's not the case with this. I loved everybody in that film. And that's why it's my number four, Train to Busan.
Yeah, that's a good one. I watched it for the first time, I think, last year. I'd kind of let the hype die down a little bit because I'm the same way with you. Like, I'm not a fan of most of the seasons of The Walking Dead, and even aside from that, I mean, for years there, the zombie subgenre was like the most oversaturated thing in
Yeah.
horror, and the aspect of the movie that I thought succeeded the most was the thing that probably led to you crying your eyes out. That whole storyline with the father and the daughter and how things are
Yes.
ill-fated and everything like that. So it was a good movie. It had the fast, ferocious zombies too, which I like. I prefer those, the animalistic zombies like Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead and 28
Mhm.
Days Later and all that, more than I do the classic Romero style zombies. So that's always a bit of a point up for me too.
And I did like that they wouldn't like The Walking Dead had established that the walkers could find you with smelling you or a
Hmm.
noise. And I like how this one they took a different take. If they didn't see you, you're pretty much non-existent. So I
Yeah.
like that little take in that. So it was a lot of originality and a Hollywood type of trope that's already been exhausted. And I was really
Hmm.
surprised by it. So
Cool.
that's my number four. So now we're at the top three, sir.
All right, top three. We're at The Shining. We are at The
Oh,
Shining. Now, the Shining was a movie that I've always loved, but Doctor Sleep actually made me love it more. So it's bumped up my list since Doctor Sleep, if you can believe that. But it's one of the most celebrated horror movies for a reason. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that would call it the best horror movie of all time. It's a movie that you can revisit a dozen times and always find something different in it or get something different out of it. There's a lot of different themes going on with it, with alcoholism and the effects of fatherhood on the child and everything like that. And
right.
it's a movie that's so ambiguous that I like revisiting it and I always appreciate it more. Sometimes ambiguity can frustrate me. I'm not somebody that needs everything spelled out for me. I don't need an answer for every question, but sometimes I think a movie purposefully wants to frustrate you to cause conversation, and sometimes that turns me off. But The Shining is one where a lot of the things going on, especially in the third act of the movie, I mean, even decades later, people still debate the ending of The Shining. They're like, what does that picture mean? Has he always been there? Is he part of the hotel now?
Yeah.
Is he reincarnated? Like, what's going on? And you will still get people that are passionately in a bunch of different explanations for just that one picture, that one shot of the movie. And
Mhm.
there's so many other ones. I mean, you got a bear blowing a guy in a hotel bed, and it's just like, what the fuck's that about? I don't know. Let's talk about it. And so it's a movie that I just think, yeah, it's a movie that takes its time with its story. It takes its time building the tension and building the horror. And for again 70s movies, it's one that, or was this the 80s? Shit, I can't
83.
remember. 83, never mind.
Yeah. Or 80 something like that.
For a movie that's very minimalistic and simplistic with its approach, I just think it's one that it's amazing how we can still have a full 2-3 hour conversation on what's going on and what this could mean even decades later. And it
Yeah.
leads to Doctor Sleep, which again, like I said, that movie is so great that it made me like this one more.
Yeah, that's a solid pick, man. You know what? Did you ever see that documentary that came out like a couple years ago? I think it's called Room 247, where it's all these people talking about theories about how Stanley Kubrick was really talking about, the massacre of the Native American, race. There's all
Hmm.
these theories that they see within the like shots of the film and what's the background, because apparently Stanley Kubrick was very methodical in what was in every frame of every shot.
Yeah.
And there's all these theories. Some of them are pretty insane. Like, what I don't have you seen that
No,
documentary?
I haven't.
It's not worth your time. Don't
Mhm.
don't watch it because some of these theories are ridiculous, man. But there's like one theory where there, Danny has a shirt that says Apollo 13 or something on there, and
Mhm.
they're saying that that's Stanley Cooper telling everybody that he was behind the moon landing conspiracy. We never went to the moon. That's him telling us. I'm like, shut the fuck up. That's not. It's the dumbest thing ever, but it's amazing. What I love about art, if you go to a museum and look at a painting, an abstract painting or anything, I love how if you look at it, anybody can walk away with something different, like a different
Mhm.
feeling or a different type of tone. And the same thing is with The Shining. Some people can watch it and be bored out of their mind, but some could watch it and just walk away with a very in-depth experience because of all the shots and storytelling and everything's such a still shot, man. It's very hypnotic in a sense. You kind of fall into this spell when watching The Shining. I mean, that's just for me when I see it. I just love it, man. Every
Mhm.
shot is basically done. And some of the
Yeah.
transitions are very under like people don't talk about the transitions in this film. They're done amazingly well, dude. I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. That's my rant for The Shining. So that's an awesome pick, dude. So we're at number three, right?
Yes.
All right. My number three, I have to set the stage. I was with a girl in 2017. We're both high out of our mind when we're watching this film. It's a Canadian horror film. and it's called End of the Line. I don't know if you've seen it or heard about it or not, but
Never heard of it.
it's a low budget Canadian horror film that you can find, I believe, on Amazon. And it's about the end of times. It's a religious, apocalyptic type of movie where there's these people in a subway and the sky turns red. You never see it. It's all done within like the subway, and people just hear what's going on outside. But slowly, before you know it, demons start approaching and killing people in the subway. The acting's horrible. But I like the atmosphere it's creating because these people are underground and they're just hearing stories of what's happening. They're watching news clips of the world ending and demons are taking it's the end of days. And there's two scenes in this film that I cannot believe that they actually did. There's this one scene. Hold on, let me block this commenter. We have more spammers here. So 1 second here. There's this one scene where there's this woman and her husband, and she's pregnant. And they're in the subway, and these people who were suddenly part of this cult of these demons sacrifice them. And I don't want to say what they do with the baby, but they went there. And I remember watching it, and I just jumped out of my seat. I'm like, they did not do that. Oh my God. I just freaked out, dude. I could not. I was shocked out of my mind. And I think of any movie I've ever seen, I've never seen anything like that. And it freaked me out. Then the ending, I don't want to give it away, but there's a twist at the end. But for all its B movie, low budget, bad acting type of feel, it was very atmospheric, and it really left me like, ooh, I felt like I had just watched Demons for the first time. I talked about that in one of our first videos. It just has that tone, a foreign tone. But I recommend if you just wanted to kill a couple of hours, check it out, and I would love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but that scene, dude, I'm just be ready. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me. That's one of my. That's one of the things that fucks me up bad. I can watch the goriest scene. I can watch people get split in half upside down. All of that stuff doesn't bother me that much. But you put a baby on screen getting harmed, and my fucking stomach hurts, and my mood is turned. I remember seeing. I was randomly one night just bored on YouTube, and I came across this video. It was like most shocking scenes in horror, and I was like, what do you got for me? And I watched it, and like maybe the third or fourth one was from, I think it was Feast 3, which I've never seen any of those movies. And a guy's running from these monsters. It's a monster flick where they're like these ravenous monsters, and he's holding a baby, and he says "fuck it" and throws the baby in the air. And it literally shows the baby in slow motion, and then it hits the pavement, and it shows that, which is horrific enough.
Yeah.
And then it shows the monster coming like and just take it. And I was like, oh, fuck you. And then the rest of the night I was in a bad mood.
Why am I laughing at that? I'm sorry. This is the worst shit I've ever heard in my life.
Dude, it was so bad. He literally looked at the baby. He was like, fuck this kid. Just threw it. And just it was just something like that. When they show it, man, it just, as a father, it just kills me. It's like a dagger in my heart. I'm like, oh, I need to go there.
You know what? I would agree with that. Like when it comes to pets, like dogs, the hell with cats, but dogs and kids, I don't want them hurt. And when movies go there and actually kill an animal, like on camera or a kid, I'm like, oh, okay, they don't give a fuck here. They're just going with no rules. So that kind of it triggers me, but it also impresses me because now I don't know what's going to be happening. And like I said, this film, like I said, there's no way an American Hollywood studio. Blumhouse, nobody would allow that scene to actually be filmed and done. And like I said, it just came out of nowhere. And it really just stuck with me. And again, that was like, it's almost 5-6 years ago. But yeah, that's my number 3. Just like, you know what was that movie? The remake, The Hills Have Eyes. That's one thing I've only seen that movie once, dude. And I can't see it again because I just don't like seeing a family just get killed like that, especially when there's one that's, nursing and all that. I go like,
yeah. There's movies that go, there's movies that go too far with that, where it's just trying to shock you the whole time. And I'm like, look, I mean, not necessarily like they ever intend a movie like that to necessarily be entertaining in those scenes, but that's taken away from my entertainment. That's why I'll never get into the I Spit on Your Graves and Last House on the Left and all of that, where it's just, I get nothing out of them. I get nothing out of them. So,
I have somebody here who's actually seen End of the Line. Cool, Colin, awesome, dude. Been to the location where it was done. I'm from Canada. Nice. Hello, my Canadian brother. I am as further south from you as anybody. I'm like 3 hours from Mexico, dude. So hello. So we're at our top 2 now. So we're toward the end, sir. So what is your number 2?
Top two. My number two is a movie that really rarely gets mentioned, but I think it's one of the best of the genre, and that's Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon.
I have that
Eh,
Blu-ray. That's a good
Yes,
one.
it
That's a good
is. It is. It's a very unappreciated movie. For as much as people love supernatural horror and hauntings and all that, especially since Blumhouse has, all but massacred our faces with dozens of those movies. Stir of Echoes is one that came out early on that I think is more effective than a lot of the movies that we've seen nowadays. Now it's a movie that we actually we rented, watched it, and me and my dad loved it so much that we actually watched it again the next night, and that was something that didn't happen very often. But it was just very creative with the different rules that come along with his haunting, where it makes him thirsty and all this weird stuff that you never really see. So it makes it have a very unique feel. Adding in the whole thing about the hypnotism, and that's what kind of opens up his eyes to the ghost, and the whole
Mhm.
mystery that's revealed throughout the movie, to where it feels like he's just being haunted because he's crossed into a realm he shouldn't have crossed into. But then it
Yeah.
turns into this little murder mystery by the end of it, and how he's trying to figure it out, digging up his backyard, and where things eventually go. It's a very effective movie. I think Kevin Bacon, whenever he decides to do horror, he tends to do really well. Because I love this. I love movies like Hollow Man,
That's
and
a good one.
yeah, he's had a few that is just really good. And this is a movie that if you like possession and horror and hauntings and stuff like that, I think that it's a very effective movie even today. I think it holds up.
Yeah, and this came out in '99. I remember seeing it in the theater, and that same year we got The Sixth Sense.
Hmm.
Um, and that's I just love that year of horror, and then the Blair Witch, which I've talked about in detail, thinking it was real that year. But yeah, that year I just remember saying like, okay, now we're getting horror back. There's some new ideas out here because I don't think there ever had been maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure I am, but I don't think there had ever been a film with this type of take where he accidentally through being hypnotized goes into this other realm and sees things. I don't think
Hmm.
another film had actually taken on that type of approach. So I loved
I
it,
haven't
man.
seen one.
Yeah, and of course Kevin Bacon, anything he does, I love, man. The guy's one of those actors like if he's in it, I'll watch it. He's an
Yeah.
awesome guy. That's a solid pick, man. So that's cool. You know what, man? I have to. You always mention your dad, and I have to relate to you in a sense because my dad introduced me to a lot of films. As I mentioned in my channel, my dad took me to go see Flash Gordon.
Hmm.
That's my first movie ever at the theater. And I just love how like both our dads were very impactful in our lives as far as movies and tastes and what we love. So it's pretty cool, man. And that's what I'm carrying over to my kids, and I'm sure you're doing
Hmm.
the same.
Try
It's like,
to.
yeah, we're gonna watch Children of the Corn today, guys. It sucks. What do you mean it sucks? That's Malachi.
You respect this, damn it. You're grounded.
Now go pray to the blue man. Some shit. But yeah, man, it's awesome, dude. Now for my number two, this one really, I didn't expect anything from it. Some would say it's not scary, but in my opinion, it is. It kind of reminded me of The Thing, but with an
Mm,
all-female cast, and that is Annihilation that came out
okay.
with Natalie Portman. And it's well casted. I love it, man. And again, for those who don't know, it's some sort of like vortex or some sort of space that kind of just develops in this one area of the country, and anybody who goes in it never comes back. And when you go in it, there's no communication to the outside world. So when you're in it, it kind of reminded me, like I said, of The Thing. People going, there's no help for them. They're on their own, and they have these supernatural body horror type of changes that happen to you. And I don't want to give the ending away, but again, it ends with a kind of like an open-ended ending, like what's going to happen, I don't know. And I love that. Again, it's like in my opinion, it's a better remake of The Thing than The Thing we got in 2011, in my opinion. It's a
Hmm.
different take, but the same type of tropes. And there's this one scene where again, like animals are blending with each other, and then there's one scene with a bear that
Hmm.
growls, but when it growls, it's screaming like a woman. And I
Hmm.
don't know if you've seen the movie, right?
I have.
You remember that scene? That
Oh
one
yeah.
just really just kind of disturbed me because I don't think I'd ever seen anything like that where, animal and people were blended together because of this space they're in.
Hmm.
Ugh. It was just very violent, well acted, and everybody in it is amazing. But that's my number two, man. Annihilation. It's underappreciated. It flopped when it came out, but I have it on
Yeah.
Blu-ray, man. It's one of my favorites.
It's one I've watched it twice, and I got to be honest with you. The ending is what kills it for me. Like that, for some reason,
Yeah.
I can't remember specifically, but it's one of those endings that just goes balls out with the science of it all, and it feels
Yes.
like you have to go through like a rabbit trail of studying quantum physics and shit to try to understand what's happened in the last 15 minutes. And yeah, the bear scene is awesome. I love the concept. The special effects and everything are great. The acting and the different characters are good. It's a movie that I wish I liked more than I did, but just for some reason,
Hmm.
the two times that I've watched it, I always walk away kind of cold because of the way that it wraps up, and it's just like, man, what the hell does that mean? And
Yeah, I guess I just like it that we don't know, and I'm pretty sure
mhm.
it's all gonna go to hell, like, it's not gonna be a happy ending, but, again, Oscar Isaac, I think is his name, I forget
Mhm.
he's gonna be Solid Snake, which I'm still kind of 50-50 about. Everybody
If
in
that
there is
fucking movie ever gets made, I don't
I don't
know.
know how they're gonna do it, man. I don't know how they're gonna
I
do it.
wish they would just do it. That's a whole live stream in its own that I'm ready for. But I don't know why the fuck they don't just look at what The Last of Us is doing and just pause and say, let's see how this goes. Because if it's good, we're doing that route. You're not going to fit any Metal Gear movie or any Metal Gear game into a movie and have it work. I have no faith.
I agree. I agree. I need make it a 12-hour miniseries. 12
Mhm.
shows, and that's enough time to just digest it. And I totally agree with that. We're totally off topic, but
Mhm.
so you didn't like it, huh? Because of the ending, or what about the rest of the film? Did you like it? Did you find it creepy?
It's again, I got overhyped because this was a movie that again came out and everybody and their mother was like, that bear scene though. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh God, there must be someone getting torn apart or something. And then I saw it and I was like, well, damn, that's really creepy, but you set my expectations up wrong. I've
damn it.
gained a little bit of scorn from, and I'm glad I'm not in this movie group anymore, but movie groups on Facebook and horror groups because people just tend to just go away. Everything's the worst thing ever or the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And
Masterpiece.
yeah, and just so I've gotten to the point where I don't even like listening to people's reactions to things. I just kind of try to go in numb. And this is one that kind of the parts of the movie I would have really enjoyed. My expectations were set up a little bit wrong for it, but I watched it a second time because everybody was like, especially my buddy Brian,
Hmm.
this was his favorite film that year, and I was like, all right, I'll give it another shot. And again, up until that last 10, 15 minutes or whatever, where you get that phantom person or whatever, everything up to that point, I'm on board. And everything after that just loses me.
Hmm.
You got a super chat, by the way. They're directing attention towards it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Mhm.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil ranks right up there for me, though it is a hard copy. I've never seen that MC. Is it Huber? Huber?
MC Huber. You never
Huber.
seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
I don't even know what that is. Is that like a show or
No,
sounds
it's a
like
movie.
Tenacious D
It's
movie
a
or something?
really funny horror comedy. You got these two rednecks, Tucker and Dale, and what happens is it's kind of playing on the cabin in the woods thing and the Texas Chainsaw. Like
Yeah.
they're innocent, they're good guys, they're doofy, but they're good guys. And this group of teenagers goes into the woods and they're trying to do drugs and have sex and everything. And one by one, they keep accidentally killing themselves through accidents, but it always looks like Tucker and Dale is doing it. There's a guy who trips and falls into a wood chipper, and his friends are looking, and Dale's trying to pull him out, but from their perspective, it looks like he's shoving him in. He's like, "Oh my god, I got you, I got you!" And so the whole movie is that it's kind of playing off of a cabin in the woods slasher. It's pretty funny.
I gotta check that out. Now, horror
Yeah.
comedy. I think Shaun of the Dead is one of my favorites. I love that. But thank
Mm.
you, MC Huber, for the super chat. Appreciate that, man. I'm still new to these lives. I still got to figure out how to multitask and do all these. So thank you for your patience, and I
Mhm.
appreciate that. Now we're down to our very last one.
Good.
The last one. So, Mr. Cody. So, what is your number one in our round three of top horror films?
Number one for me is a movie that, again, like Stir of Echoes, I feel like is greatly underappreciated. And I feel like it would have been more of a hit if it maybe didn't draw so many comparisons to Scream,
Okay.
and that's The Faculty.
Oh, I've never seen it. Robert
Oh,
Rodriguez, right?
wow. Yes. Yes.
Yes, that predates Scream, I think. Oh God. Okay.
I don't no, it came well, does it? I don't know. It came out around the same time, but it definitely drew comparisons. I think because it had the young hot cast and it was the same type of poster where it's all their faces and it just
Yeah.
it didn't grab the pop culture conscience like Scream did. And so it always was treated like it was underperformed or something. But The Faculty, for the love that you have for Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I'm surprised you haven't seen it because it's kind of like a teenage version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, to where you have this
Oh.
alien that slowly takes over their school, starts with the teachers and starts going into the students.
Okay.
And you have that, late 90s, early 2000s cast of hot stars that are trying to take on this alien menace in their school. And it's just such a cool movie. It's got so much style. It's so unique. Like it references Invasion of the Body Snatchers and all these novels and everything, like classic alien science fiction horror movies. But it's kind of it's not going full meta like Scream, but it's like
Uh-huh.
aware of the horror genre to a degree. So that's why it draws
Gotcha.
comparisons to Scream. But it's just such a cool stylistic movie. Like all the characters are great. I mean, you've got Elijah Wood in there as kind of like the high school geek.
Is
You've
that
got
Usher?
You've got Usher in there. You got Josh Hartnett, who's kind of like the badass who's been held back a couple of times, and he creates his own drugs and sells them on campus and shit. And it's just
Nice.
it's such a fun movie. I mean, when you've got the T-1000 himself as the gym teacher, who's an alien, and
Robert
all
Patrick,
these other Robert Patrick and all these other great actors in there, and just these kids know that something's going on. And every time they try to tell somebody, they realize the parent or the teacher they're trying to tell is an alien too. And it's just an absolute blast. Seriously, I mean, not just because it's my number one, but because you love Invasion of the Body
yeah,
Snatchers, you got to check it out.
I definitely would check it out. I think that'll be the next movie night for tomorrow for me and the girlfriend. Well, she's probably seen that already, but I definitely will. Especially Robert Rodriguez. I'm all about
It's got an
supporting.
amazing soundtrack too, like that
Yeah.
90s kind of grunge. I mean, it's got Lane Staley doing a cover of Another Brick in the Wall and stuff
Oh, really?
like
Oh,
that. So yeah, so
that
it's got
makes
a
sense.
great soundtrack too.
All right, man. So I need to check that out. I can't believe, you know what? I think I've seen it, but I don't remember anything about it. Because if it's a movie, I know in late 90s, I know I went to the movies all the time. I remember, know what you did last summer, Scream, all those other things. I know I may have seen it. I think once I start watching it again, it'll come back. So,
Hmm.
all right. So, all right. We're down to my last one. And this one, I found it was cool. I remember watching it and the ending really broke my heart. But then with COVID and everything happening lately, this film I saw it again and it terrified me even more because, like we've said before, it's people that are the real evil here, and that's The Mist that came
Oh
out.
yeah.
This film, it's more like a character piece in a sense because people are trapped in this one building. They don't know what's going on out there. It's just hysteria and just paranoia really taking over. And again, if you notice, like all my favorite films have to deal with paranoia
Hmm.
and just how people just go insane. And then this one woman, I forget her name. I'm gonna just her the actress who plays that.
Oh shit, it's on the tip of my tongue too.
Yeah, I have her here on IMDb. I have to just say her name because she's amazing. She's Miss McCorby, Miss Carmody,
Miss Carmody.
Carmody. There you go. I can't read. Sorry, McCarmody.
Hmm. Hmm.
Marcia Gay Harden is her name. She is an amazing
Marcia Gay
actress.
Harden or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the way she just convinces people and just turns their fear into really, she uses their fear against them and just has everybody just go insane and asking for sacrifices. It really just terrifies me how when things go bad, how people will act and what they'll turn to. And
Hmm.
I remember just during the pandemic, the past couple of years, how people were acting, and some people were just just blaming people, just the human nature. I remember I tweeted Stephen King. I go, "Wow, the miss hits home more than ever." Now he never replied, but the
Hmm.
miss hits home more than ever because I always thought films were really an exaggeration of what could happen in real life. But over the past couple of years, this film really scares me even more because I don't see this as fiction anymore as far as
Hmm.
the monsters and all that. That's one thing, but just the human interactions and the behaviors and what they turn into, that we're the real monsters in some cases, man. So this film, especially the ending, of course, if you've seen the film, the ending, it breaks your heart, man. It really does. But just the,
Hmm.
the, the whole atmosphere of people turning against each other, this film got me. So that's my number one, The Mist, man.
Yeah, that's a great one. I don't really understand a lot of the hate that that movie gets. I mean,
If
and
people
it's
hate it,
directed, yeah,
well,
mostly because of the ending. But yeah, very rarely. I mean, horror fans tend to like it, but people in general tend to talk negatively on it when I've seen it. But for the guy, I mean, it's directed by Frank Darabont. That's the guy that brought us Shawshank and The Green Mile, and this was his another movie that he brought out. And I think it might have been his last movie. I don't know where he's been since, but yeah,
yeah.
it came out. And what I love about the movie is that it does a really good job with the effect. I mean, a little bit too much CGI here and there, but the
Mhm.
great effects that it has with like some of the gore effects and the creativity of the monsters, how they're kind of insectoid in a way.
Mhm.
And like you said, the true horror in the movie is that it's just the people that are locked into this grocery store and just seeing human nature and paranoia take effect in this tight little setting.
Yes. Mhm.
And I mean, once it gets to the point where the secrets start to come out about where the mist came from, and then she's, you know, everybody slowly, one by one, is starting to join this woman's crazy religious camp. And the scene where William Sadler finally is one of her little zealots, and he's like, "Oh, praise God, yes, praise it," and it's just like, oh, dude, all bets are off now. That fucking guy's believing it. And how crazy it gets once they start accusing the military guy of certain things, and it's a wild movie. You know, I think that there's a valid criticism for the ending, that they could have executed a little differently as far as how quickly he comes to that decision. Once they're running out of gas, he's just like, you know, fuck it. But I think that it's an effective ending. I mean, it's to the point where Stephen King says that he likes the ending of the movie better than the ending of his novella. So,
and that's what I was going to ask. I don't know if you read the book. Does the book have the same ending as the movie?
I've never read it, but the book ends with them driving off into the mist, and then it's left ambiguous.
Oh, okay, yeah. And Frank Darabont, I think he did a lot of the Walking Dead the first couple of seasons, because I know when I saw it again, a lot of the cast in this film went to The Walking Dead.
Yeah, he was the one that kind of got the ball rolling on it, and I don't know exactly the details with it, but he was not happy about the way that he left the show. I don't know if they just kind of yanked it from him or what happened, but you definitely saw a change of direction and a quality dip after he left.
Yeah, definitely. You really did, man. We have a super chat by MC Huber. $2 says Reanimator also is quite high on my list. You know, Reanimator, it terrified me as a kid. I really, because just the visuals and things that are going on, but I saw it as an adult, and I don't think I laughed as hard in any horror film that I did with this film, because it's fucking hilarious, man. Just
it's
the whole
batshit crazy.
It's stupid, and just like the whole head scene with like, "I love you, my dear." Like, oh god, I'm like, really? I cracked up the entire time watching it. And how did they get away with that opening entry, like the song? It's a ripoff of Psycho. I don't know how they did that. I truthfully don't. But yeah,
it's a wild movie.
It really is. But all right, man, that's our how do I get rid of this banner here? 1 second here. That is
Top
our
10 part 3.
So top 10 part 3. Will there be a part 4? Who knows? I don't know. But Mr. Cody Leach, thank you, sir. Sincerely, I love talking movies with you. We're getting to know each other and where these films coming from and who introduced us to these things. So it really means a lot to me that you take the time to sit here with me and talk films. And
yeah, absolutely.
And thanks, man. And for everybody in chat, thanks for joining. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and share it. I really would appreciate it. And with that being said, good night, everybody. Later.
Now I'm curious how you're going to close it out. If
I know. Here we go. An error has occurred yet. Now it's telling me, do you want to go live again? Oh, let's freaking out what happens.
All right.